Great to see you here on a Saturday afternoon for the big Saturday afternoon live stream, and we got a lot to cover today. A new way for us to look at the silver and gold price, and a great message that I want to share with you from a man who's 86 years old. And what he has to say has everything to do with the silver and gold price. I hope everybody's doing doing gracefully and gratefully. Oh, they're making me watch ads. Hold on. When you can see me, there we go. Hey, Jim M. Thank you. And thank you again, Jim M., for your generous contribution, which went toward the giveaway last night. Okay? Hey, I'm going to pop this chat out, and we are just going to get started right now. I think I can see you guys. Hello, hello. Yep. Okay. We're in good shape. Let's get started. It's always an adventure when we're doing live streams, and I appreciate all 95 of you who are here with us right now. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Get ready. Do you like the sound of gold prices and silver prices? Maybe going up by as much as 200%? I know it sounds absolutely crazy to us, but we're going to look today at the technical indicators. We're also going to look at some legal changes that are going on right now, and we're going to hear from a wise old man, yes, an 86-year-old man who knows a thing or two about the silver market and the gold market, and the icing on the cake is more doom coming out of the economy. But are we wrong? Or is it really getting bad out there? We're going to look at some startling facts there as well. But let's get started by talking about technical indicators. And we aren't big chart people. Don't worry. I'm not going to pull up any fancy charts or use anything fancy on you. You know the cup and handle, our favorite technical indicator. But King World News had a little article here about Citibank. Our friends over at Citibank. Yes, the bank that employs, 250,000 people, 240,000 people, well respected, right? Although they are laying off 10% of their employment base, but that's a different story. Maybe we'll touch on that later during the doom segment. Citi says that gold is on the cusp of a major breakout that will send the price to an all-time high. That's a mainstream, one of the biggest and unfortunately most respected banks out there, but even they are talking about all-time highs for gold, and you absolutely know what that'll do for the silver price and the platinum price as well. Let's just dig into this briefly because there's some good information here. They say top Citi analyst says that gold is on the cusp of a major breakout that will send the price to an all-time high. They're calling it gold's final breakout because don't forget, guys, we closed above $2,000 in the spot price in gold yesterday, okay? You know how compelling it is that it's happening in an environment where everybody hates gold and silver. We don't hate it. Right? We're not going to hate on gold and silver here. We know the story, but the general investment community gives gold and silver zero respect. And that's about to change. And the fact that silver and gold are reaching near all-time highs with zero respect is a big deal. Think about if Apple stock or Tesla stock was breaking out to new all-time highs. It would be touted in the media. It'd be a big deal, right? Well, eventually, when gold gets to a new all-time high and starts to surpass and add to that new all-time high number, they're going to be forced to talk about it. And you know the whole story. That's going to bring just a few more people into the gold and silver sector, and all we need is a few people. Gold's final breakout. There's an excellent piece from Citi's Naveen Nair. Gold is testing very strong resistance at $2,000 to $2,009 per ounce. That's a psychological level, and a 76.4% Fibonacci retracement, and October highs. So Fibonacci is some other fancy technical thing guys do, and it's based on mathematics. And where we are right now, we're hitting a Fibonacci resistance level, a psychological $2,000 resistance level, and the resistance level from the October highs. We closely watch this level. Given a decisive break would suggest a 2.7% move. That's right. We only have to go up, 3-4% towards the 2023 highs. The building blocks, the resistance at 2000 to 2009, psychological level, Fibonacci in October is very strong. The 76.4% Fibonacci retracement has been historically a strong resistance level. Okay, a decisive break above this level for gold has seen rallies towards the $2,070 per ounce level. To the downside, support is likely at $1,940. That's the 200-day moving average, which is another popular technical analysis tool that they use. Gold attempting to break out and attack all-time highs. The 5-year weekly chart also shows gold at final resistance before assaulting all-time highs. Here, I promised I wouldn't do it, but there's a quick look at that chart. That's from King World News. Okay. Right, what's the other big thing? The dollar, the strong dollar. Don't get me started. The strong dollar is what's been causing silver and gold to go down. Okay, we know that's the popular narrative. The strong dollar, relatively speaking, not in real terms. In real terms, CoinShop Chris and I put out a great video yesterday, or was it early? Yeah, it was yesterday, that showed that the dollar in real terms has just been absolutely obliterated. Compare the value of silver, for instance, from 1955 through today, and compare that to how much the cost of things like bread, milk, and gas have gone up, and you'll see that silver, for instance, and we only looked at silver, outperformed. It helped people save their money. It helped people save their value, their wealth. It preserved their purchasing power. Wow, thank you, Tara, for that super chat. Super generous. Thank you. Man, not expected, but always appreciated. I'll tell you in a minute, because me and the family are going to go do this little Christmas thing, and I'm going to put that money towards that. We're going to the Moolah Shrine. What's it called? Festival of Trees. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Let's talk about the dollar. The U.S. dollar index. When the dollar goes down, gold and silver go up. Weekly levels on the dollar index remains a key for the foreign exchange markets. 103 to 104 is the main level, with a few intersecting lines, blah, 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 while short-term support remains the theme. If we see a weekly, monthly close below, it would indicate further downside risk for the dollar. So if the dollar gets below 103, honestly, I didn't look at it before I came on. I forgot. But last I remember, the dollar late in the week last week was around the DXY index. You can always put that into Google. It's easy to read. The DXY index was around 103. If we break below there, if we get into the 99 range, guys, it's going to be runaway freight train times for the silver price and gold price, okay? So what we're talking about are big moves. How does that make you feel? I mean, can you fathom $6,000 gold? Do you feel like nobody talks about that anymore? I remember like 3-4 years ago, Rob McEwen from McEwen Mine. Thank you, Ray. Las Vegas. I very well Silver Pulse. I'll have to look into that. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. But don't you remember, Ray? Don't you remember 3-5 years ago, we had all kinds of people talking about $5,000 gold, $6,000, $10,000 gold. Now, right, if I say I think we can get to $2,600 gold next year, I get virtual ding-dongs thrown at me, right? I get accused of being a pumper. Well, what about, can you maybe just with a little bit, right? Just open our minds a little bit and consider that we could get $6,000 gold. And I got an awesome piece of communication. He's reached out to me several times. Our old friend Roy, he's 86 years old, and he's been following the gold and silver markets since he was like 18, 19 years old, he tells me. And he says, Ron, don't worry. He sent me a very nice message. Ron, don't worry about people throwing tomatoes at you, throwing shade at you because you think the silver and gold price could be in for a tremendous run. And you know why? This is very interesting. He said, it's true. I lived through the 1970s. And in the 1970s, yes, silver and gold went up like we can't even, like multiple times. I don't know, 20. I mean, it's just incredible the number of times. I mean, not doubled, not tripled. We're talking went up like 10, 15, 20 times. And he said the same exact thing. It felt the same exact way then. In the early 70s, you knew things were screwed up. You knew there were big things coming. But nobody would believe and nobody wanted to imagine that silver and gold would have the types of returns like they had. And he pointed out that's no guarantee that it's going to happen now. But he did agree that things are even more screwy now than they were in the 1970s. And guys, do yourself a favor. Do a little research about what happened to the silver price and the gold price in the 1970s when we had oil problems. Do we have oil problems now? Do you feel like we have an oil problem? I mean, you don't even have to study the petrodollar situation because that's part of the big oil to know that we have an oil problem. Do we have geopolitical issues going on? Right back then it was Vietnam and other wars, other things going on. Yeah, we got big geopolitical. We've got war with Russia. We have war in the Middle East. Okay, we have BRICS. And on January 1st, we're going to have BRICS Plus. So yes, we do have that major thing. And he pointed this out as well. The fiscal condition of our country now is way worse than it was in the 1970s. Okay, so he says he thinks that we're going to have another big, ugly bout of inflation. We'll have to see how it works out. It's going to be interesting, but it's okay, I think, if you look at the big picture, to believe that we could have fantastic gains for silver and gold. Like, why? Let me ask you this question. Why is it okay to talk about a tech stock or Bitcoin or any of these other assets that can double, triple, quadruple in price? And that's like, oh, that's okay, But you talk about gold doubling in price. Think about nobody talks about $4,000. How about $4,000 gold? Let me ask you a question. If you think gold could hit, and thank you again for that super chat, man. I'm going to say thank you to Tara. I very much appreciate it. And hold on, I missed one. Darn it. Both of the super chats, thank you. But if you think, I'm going to ask you to do something here. If you think we could get 4,000 gold within the next 2 years, I know it's a stretch, but I'm on fire, baby. I'm a believer today. It's Saturday afternoon. I want you to type 4,000 in the chat. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Oops. Uh-oh. I was going to. There we go. 4,000. I think we can do it. I think Roy is right. I think we got a shot at it, guys. I don't know. Hey, look at all those 4,000s. Hey, Coin Shop Chris. Hey, Electra Drill, Frank, our old friend Frank, and the gentleman who won the giveaway last night. He won over 20 ounces of silver. His name's Will. He's from New York. He did claim it, and I got it shipped out, registered mail this morning, and he promised that he would take a picture with a couple of the pieces of silver when he gets it. Okay, don't worry, guys. There will be more, I almost said more ding-dong time, more giveaways. Coin Shop Chris says, Ronnie, little Ronnie, it's time to ring the bell. You guys want me to ring the bell? Huh? Well, you got 100 thumbs up. Got to ring the bell 10 times. One time for each 10 thumbs up. It's Saturday. I'm giving you a couple extra rings. I'm going to have a sip of coffee, and we got a lot more to cover, guys. Okay. And we have 300 people here. Wow. Unbelievable. I'm so grateful. You know, it's the holiday season. I don't like the holidays, and it's the holiday season. We're all happy. We're here together in the basement. We're going to have record gold by the end of the year, right? I can't guarantee it. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do believe it's more possible right now, right, than I felt like in the last 6 months on many different levels. So let's see how the rest of this year plays out for us. It is going to be very, very interesting. Thank you, Frank. $12,000 plus per the US. Wow, yeah. I'll take it. I'll take it, my friend. Sounds like a good plan to me. Here's some more big news. All right, we're coming into 2024, guys. Last year started a wave of states in the United States passing legal tender legislation. Yes, what the founding fathers put into the United States Constitution, individual states taking legislative action to give their citizens their right to reclaim their constitutional right to use silver and gold as money. But we got some new developments, and I'm going to be talking to this gentleman tomorrow, Daniel Diaz from the Citizens for Sound Money. And they're a national organization that is helping states, state by state, okay, further along this legislation. But it gets very interesting because they have 3 pieces that they're trying to forward in a number of different states. Okay, of course, legal tender legislation to have the state recognize that gold and silver are legal tender. Okay. But secondly, state depositories, that states would have their individual depositories where they would hold silver and gold, transparent, audited, regulated, right? The silver and gold are there. It's getting very interesting because if these states, more states put in state depositories like the state of Texas did, that could mean that the state could then allocate part of their like government employee retirement funds and general funds into silver and gold. It could create a unbelievable wave of demand for physical silver and or physical gold. But what's really interesting is that they're pushing legislation now for individual states to have their own asset-backed digital currency. I didn't say cryptocurrency. I said asset-backed. That means silver and gold backed at the depository, okay? Digital currency, meaning 100% backed by gold and audited and regulated and run by the state, okay? And it would be the ultimate goal is to then have this integrated with the banking system as well, so that people could have debit cards, credit cards, that would be where they could actually directly spend their silver and gold. It's very exciting. I'm not going to go in any more deeper because I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Diaz on Monday. I keep forgetting what day it is. Today is Saturday. I might have said tomorrow, but I'm talking to him Monday. But here's the key, and I want to point this out to you because you may be sitting at home saying, "Oh, I don't like this idea." You consider this. You would want to like the idea. Do you live in a state where your state legislatures have given you back, right, what was taken from you, which is your right to use gold and silver as legal tender? Do you want your state that's holding some of your assets, part of that's your money, and the ability to hold some of those assets in silver and gold at a state-run, right, administered by your state depository? But the third biggest thing is we need silver and gold. The future is digital, guys, no matter how we look at it, right? But if we're talking about digital currency that is absolutely 100 backed by silver and gold and regulated and audited and transparent by the state, okay, that could create massive gains in terms of demand for silver and gold and for its functionality, right? That you could use it when you go to the gas station and fill up with gas, that you could use it when you whatever, right? It'd be like if you use a debit card or a credit card or even write a check. So it's exciting. But here's the big key I want you to remember. Just because they're talking about asset-backed digital currency, not crypto, okay? That does not mean that you cannot still hold physical metal on your own. It's not taking away that right. It's not taking away that ability. You can still, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's great. And if that's what you purely believe and you would never try, that's fine too. But there's a lot of other people out there that might become open to silver and gold if indeed there are these digital state-run options. And, in some ways, when we think about it, compared to some of the other options that are out there right now in the silver and gold community, something run by the state, as sad as that is, might not be too bad of an idea. Although I'm not a big state guy. But here's some exciting news, okay? This legislation is being the states that they're looking at, and I'm going to you can get more when I have the interview with Daniel on Monday. But one of the states, which it surprised me that they weren't already, I always thought, why isn't this state doing legal tender legislation? They just feel like a state that would be doing it. Who can guess? Who can guess? I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Who can guess what state? Hello, Sassy Silver. Good to see you join the chat. What state? Nope. Florida. You got it, Joe. Yeah, Lee. Missouri is forwarding, but Florida, which is one we hadn't heard of. Florida still has a sales tax on silver. I don't know all the specifics. Coin Shop Chris does. He knows all the states' specifics, but Florida, I think it's if it's up to 500, you have to pay sales tax, and then there's something about if it's U.S. minted stuff, maybe there's no tax. Anyway, there still is a sales tax. Florida. So Florida is one of these states that's going to be looking at forwarding this new legislation. It could get real exciting, guys, as we head now into the end of the year with our silver and gold and where things are going. Excuse me, because on a macro level, it is nasty. Let's just talk about some doom, okay? Let's talk about some doom, all right? The real estate, the commercial real estate market is imploding right now. All right. Today, I'm not going to pull it up, but I can tell you here in St. Louis, there was a big movie theater building in a good part of town, Fenton, Missouri, which is a upper middle class part of town, that went up for auction. A really nice building. Okay. They started the auction at 1.2 million. Nobody bid on it. People were shocked. Okay. Also here in St. Louis, I talked about Hotel Indigo, which is going to be auctioned starting at $2 million. 11 million had recently been in the last 4 years invested into this building. Massive office building in downtown St. Louis that had been purchased in 2018 for $19 million. Just sold for $12 million. All right. It's getting ugly out there. Ugly. And we're going to get into more of this ugliness, all right, here in the next few minutes and kind of pull it all together and tell us, what does this mean to us about what's going on in the economy? Hey, guys, please, I'd really like to get to 200 thumbs up so I can ring that cowbell like never before. Saturday afternoon cowbell ring. So please give this a thumbs up. We're fighting to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Do you want to be a subscriber? I tell you, the benefit is I will put out a piece of content every day for the rest of my life, either a live stream or a video. You get to watch me disintegrate over time. Plus, on top of that, we get to become friends. I view all you guys as friends, and I know a lot of you, right? This is not RonTube, it's YouTube. So if you subscribe, you can come back and you can connect with other people here. And there's been some awesome friendships that have been made, including ones that I've made with people on the channel. But amongst the other people, it's great. People helping each other out. So please consider subscribing to the channel. What do you think about Black Friday? I went to Target yesterday. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe the economy is booming because it was a madhouse yesterday at Target. Let me read this to you from CNBC. Holiday shoppers are expected to spend 3 to 4% more year over year in November and December, according to the National Retail Federation. You think they might be a little skewed to the positive? That would be a significant slowing from the holiday sales growth seen during the C-19 situation and a return to more typical growth levels Okay, is that in just dollar terms, right? Because that's not hardly even catching up or keeping up with inflation, right? Huh? Okay. Oh boy. So really retail sales, and isn't that why we're hearing from truckers, train companies, train engineers, airline pilots, and the guys that drive the big ships across the ocean with all the containers full of Chinese stuff, that volumes are collapsing? Does that make sense? It starts to make sense. But what about credit cards? Just live on your credit cards. Don't worry about it, right? Yeah, don't. No. We got nothing to worry about. Just put it on your credit card and forget about it. Yeah. It says with credit card debt at record highs. Oh, that's good. And more young consumers falling behind on their credit card payments. See, well, I'm not saying anything against young people because I'm young at heart. We're all young, but there's some people out there, young and old, that think, oh, I can just go to college and borrow a bunch of money. I won't have to pay it back. Oh, I can spend stuff on my credit cards. I don't have to pay it back. Forget it, right? Okay, they're falling behind on their credit card payments. Listen to this. Buy now, pay later. They have an acronym for it. BNPL, buy now, pay later services are expected to see record spending levels this holiday season. Buy now, so you can't put it on your credit card. So now they're doing BNPL, buy now, pay later. Statista's Felix Richard reports that according to Adobe Analytics, buy now, pay later spending, listen to this, could climb to $17 billion this holiday season, up 17% from last year, right? People don't have money. People don't have money. Remember, they spent all the money that they had saved up during the pandemic, all that free unicorn fart dust printed money that then just caused a bunch of inflation. Then they racked up a bunch of debt on their credit cards. Then they started draining their 401ks, right? Now they're saying, well, I can't even pay my credit cards. I can't pay my bills. So I'll do BNPL, buy now, pay later. Bidenomics, President Biden's. This is great. This is not a political show. I'm not putting down President Joe Biden, right? It's working. That president, it's working. That's what he says when he talks about the economy. He whispers into the microphone. Do you like when I whisper into the microphone? He says, it's working. Well, maybe it's not, because President Biden's approval among small business owners, the heartbeat of Americans' economy, right? Approval rating has hit a new low, according to the CNBC SurveyMonkey Small Business Survey, with net approval rating of 30. That's not good. Measured from his first day in office, President Joe Biden's approval has dropped by 13% from 43%. Yeah, we can do that math. We got that much covered. In the first quarter of 2021, this is what's interesting. Business owners who strongly disapprove of his handling of the presidency, 56% of business owners disapprove, far outweigh those who strongly do approve. Let me ask you a question, because I got the answer, right? What percent do you think of small business owners approve of President Joe Biden? Bidenomics. It's working. That whole thing. Guess, all right? We're only going to do this for a second. Nope. 8% is not it. Higher. 20%. Nope. Lower. 2%. Nope. Lower than 15%. Close though, Flannel Capital. I'm giving it away. Nope. Snake bite. Too high. Negative 10%. Sassy Silver. You're going to get timed out. I'm just joking. No. Okay. Ozman got it. Ozman, I think you got 13%. 13% of small business owners approve of President Joe Biden, his handling of the economy, and that it's working or not working. Let's just touch on the global economy, because we live in a global world. Remember that? Not as global of a world as we used to, because now the world's split. We live in like half a global world, but nonetheless, a recession. What about a depression? We're not afraid to talk about depressions, right? That's what my mom calls it, the depression. She'll say, your grandpa lived through the depression. Anyway, a recession in the euro area. is looking increasingly likely as the economic downturn persists in the final quarter of the year. Private sector activity survey showed, listen to this, S&P Global's Purchasing Managers Index was in contraction again in November, hitting 47.1. While that's a bigger uptick than anticipated by economists, it marks the sixth consecutive month below 50 that marks an expansion. So 50 is expansion, 47 is contraction. It's been below 50 for 6 months, but they still won't officially say that there's a recession. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy out there. I know what we do know about silver and gold. Let's wrap all this together, and then let's talk about the government coming to your house and taking your silver and gold. Confiscation. That's a hot subject again, so we're going to talk about that, but I want to wrap all this together. Oh my gosh, you guys are the best. This is your show, and I appreciate one big thing. I'm telling you, these thumbs up are like virtual hugs that you give me, and we have 200 thumbs up, and what I do is I ring the cowbell, and I ring it really loud. So if you have sensitive ears, this is your 3-second warning, because I'm going to ring a cowbell, and it's going to be very loud, and I don't want anybody to be offended. Here we go. All right, so if you ever want to watch a funny movie, if you have time tonight, I think it's funny. You may disown me if you watch this movie, but my kids love it. I have 11-year-old twin daughters. Pee Wee Herman's Great Holiday, or Pee Wee Herman, not Pee Wee's Big Adventure, His Great Holiday or His Great Vacation. It's like him and this guy, this Rico Suave guy. I'm telling you, it's the funniest movie ever, especially when he's at this Amish community and he has these big balloons. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about your silver and gold being confiscated. Is it going to happen? It came up once, it came up twice, and I got 3 people reached out to me worried about that again. Okay, worried. I don't know exactly, I don't have a crystal ball that works. But there's another analyst out there, a guy who I'm actually pretty good friends with, named Bald Guy Money, who pointed out something months ago, and I haven't talked about this for months, so I want to reiterate this to you. I really don't think you have anything to worry about. Well, there's gold and silver. There's a difference. With gold, which was confiscated in the 1933 by President Roosevelt. Okay, gold, and there's different levels of fear as to whether gold, it's different. They're 2 different subjects, so I'm going to cover them differently. With gold has been confiscated by the U.S. government. Other governments have confiscated it as well. 1933, Roosevelt, we were in the Depression. We were on the gold standard. He needed to print money, okay? And since they didn't have the gold, they couldn't just print money. So he confiscated Americans' gold, which then gave him a lot more gold. And then to double whammy it, to really print a lot, what they did was they bought the gold for what, $18 an ounce, $17 an ounce, and then as soon as they had it all, they revalued it. They stuck it to it was a screw job. Hey, thank you, Shadow Work. Thank you guys for all these super chats. Thank you. Okay, but they had to confiscate the gold to create more money. Back then, this was the 1930s, and really ripped off whoever turned their gold in got reamed, because then, like I said, they immediately, and there were big penalties. If you didn't turn your gold in, you could face like a $10,000 fine, go to jail for, I don't know, either 2 years or 20 years. It was real. It was legit. And like a $10,000 fine back then would be the equivalent of like what, a $10 million fine today? Maybe I exaggerated a little bit, but the value of the dollar consequently has gone down a lot since 1933 over the last 90 years, if I have my mathematics correct. Here's why they won't confiscate your gold. They don't have to. And Bald Guy pointed this out. Because if the central banks want gold, and aren't we maybe seeing that right now, right? All they have to do, if the U.S. government wanted to buy a boatload of gold, thank you for the super chat, Ozman. Wow, man, super generous today, guys. If the U.S. government wanted gold, all they'd have to do is tell the Fed, hey, print up a couple trillion. We want to buy a boatload of gold, right? They're not tethered. The dollar, none of the currencies in the world are tethered to gold anymore. Not yet, right? That's gone back and forth over time, but they don't have to confiscate your gold. They can just buy it. They can just print money up and buy gold on the free market. Now, silver is a different story, right? I personally am more, and I don't worry about this, but I would think that if either of the two metals were to be confiscated, that silver is the one that we need to really worry about. And I'll tell you why. Because there is so much demand for silver, okay, and only going to grow as we head into the coming decade. It's not going to be long. I mean, the next decade, the demand for silver, you know the story. Solar, it's unbelievable. They're already using 160 million, 200 million this year in solar panels this year. That's 1/5 of the world's mine output. There's only 2 billion ounces of silver sitting above the ground right now, right? That's 2 years worth of silver production sitting above the ground right now. Gold, there's like probably, like 300 years worth of production sitting above ground. Silver, there's 2 years worth of mine production sitting above the ground right now. Last year, they dipped, and the last 2 years, they've dipped into that above ground to the tune of about 300 million ounces. We had 240 million deficit last year and 50 million deficit the year prior to that. That's 1/7 of it gone. But the problem is that the deficit is going to grow and grow and grow because anything and everything electronic or green energy oriented is completely reliant on silver. So back to, will they confiscate metals? Well, they very well may try. They may try to get your silver because it's going to become this critical need for the green energy transition. They'll probably have a neat little acronym they'll come up with as to why they need to take your silver. I'm not saying I think it is going to happen, but I think that if I had to say which one of the two metals is more susceptible to confiscation as we look into the next 10, 20 years, that we could see a big, do your part. If, turn in grandma's silverware, do your, and I think that, how do I put this? I'm going to put this politely to you. I don't think that proposition would be greeted nicely with the general person who's on this live stream right now. Let me ask you a question, and I'm not going to hold you to this, okay? But would you be friendly toward the idea of turning in your silver to help support the green energy transition? I'm going to say no for me. You can say whatever you want. No, no, no. Misspelled the first one. Bankers own. Yeah, so thank you, Sassy Silver. Thank you, Jim M. Coin Shop Chris. I think I saw Jake on here as well. Heck no. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right? I mean, I don't think that people are going to be real quick to want to turn in their silver. I just have a feeling, right? It's a lot different now. I read that too. That's the other thing. Back in the 1930s, Americans generally were much more, let me put it this way. The politicians of the time had not given the population as much of a reason to be suspicious of them. How does that sound? Let's just say that like the congressional approval rating and that type of thing back then was much higher. People were, I guess, I don't want to say more patriotic because I feel like I'm patriotic. Actually, I think in some ways it's weird. Being patriotic now in the modern times is almost, with how screwed up everything has become more like being just a bit rebellious, a little bit rebellious. So I don't think people would be so quick to turn in their medals. I'm going to ask you guys one more time. Please give this a thumbs up. That is like a virtual hug. We love it. Me, all the moderators. What I would also please ask you to do, please, one final thing. The moderators that are here today, right? I see Coin Shop Chris. I see Jake. I see Jim. I see, who else did I see? Sassy Silver. Did I miss anybody? If I did, I apologize. Okay. Who else? Anyway, please, guys, give them an 8 if you don't mind. 8 is great. That's our code for saying thank you to the moderators in Ron's Basement. They work really hard to make this a nice environment for people to work together, to be friendly with each other, and the people that are here are always super high quality, good people. Every once in a while, we get some rebel rousers that sneak in, and the moderators do. Look at all those 8s. Now that warms my heart. That's actually, better than a Sassy Silver than a thumbs up. So thank you for that. Hold on a second here. We're going to start making a big deal, too, guys, about June 14th, because it's only about 6 months away now. International Women's Silver Day. That's a Ron's Basement thing. We all started that. Some of the women that are here, because we have a really strong and growing presence of lady stackers. I like to call them lady stackers. Classy ladies, smart ladies, right, that want to protect their family, protect themselves, and we're getting more and more of them, and we are a community. Obviously, the more people we have, the better, and this influx of women into the stacking community, and I'm hearing it from a lot of other people as well, is an awesome thing, because I guess I can say this since I'm a man, a lot of women are smarter than men. I think Susie would agree with that as well, right? No doubt about it, huh? No doubt about it. It's going to be an interesting. Don't forget, when it comes to the banks, pull back to what we were talking about earlier, all this doom. Guys, these buildings, big movie theater, big office building, big hotel, right? Just in the last 4 days here in St. Louis, 3 big buildings that are either sold or being auctioned or can't be auctioned for way less than what they were thought to have been worth just 3 or 4 years ago. All right. I don't know. Is a movie theater considered commercial real estate? I would think it is. Is a hotel considered commercial real estate? Whatever, I know an office building is, but these big buildings, right, that people spent, significantly more money to either build or buy are now worth fractions of what they were. There's a bank behind all that. So there's when we hear, I talked about this earlier, there's a lot of trash that's being hidden at the banks. Okay, a lot of trash. So just be prepared. It's going to be an interesting run. And back to just briefly, as we talk about this legal tender legislation that they're passing in the states, a lot of that is being done. And I know Florida, I think Ron DeSantis had said, a lot of this is being done to help protect you and me from the CBDCs that are coming. Okay. Pat Holland and I talked earlier. I got a couple of videos coming out that I did with Pat Holland from Missouri Freedom Initiative. The Fed Now program that they put in place, that's like the infrastructure to the whole system, to the CBDC system. Okay. It's like the big pipe. It's like a water main. It's like if you're living in the country and you've got your own well. I want you to think about this, because Pat said this was a great analogy that I invented. I'm going to take credit for this one. You're living out in the country. You're independent. You've got a water well. You spent $5,000 to have a well. You got your own water source, your own water supply. Everything's great, right? Think of that like you're your tendency to want to own physical metal, right? You want to be your own central bank. You want to be your own water company, right? You have your own well in your yard. You want to be your own central bank. You own silver and gold. Well, then one day, some bulldozers come through your neighborhood and they're digging up your front yard and laying pipe. And you're like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, this is the new water main. I'm like, oh, but they're like, don't worry. You don't have to connect to it. You're like, I don't want to connect to it. I've got my own well. Why would I want to connect? Well, we're just putting the pipes through everywhere. Okay. That's the Fed Now program. And then, like, if you live where I live in St. Louis County, in a suburban area, I'm not allowed to dig a well. I'm pretty sure, right? Like, I have to be connected. Right. So then eventually, 2 years later, they knock on your door and say, you know what, you can't use your well anymore. You're legally required to connect to the water, the big water system. And if you want water, then you got to connect because we're shutting off your well. Just like if we get to a point where, you know, there's another crisis going on and everybody's scared and the Fed says, well, we got this new CBDC. It's going to save everything. And if you want money, you need to put this app on your phone and use this new CBDC. Okay, that's what's coming potentially. Okay, and I hope that makes sense, that analogy, right? That water main is the same thing like the Fed Now program that they kind of, not secretively, but silently, without a lot of fanfare, rolled out not too long ago. And it's real easy for a CBDC to get plugged right into it. So this legal tender legislation that's going on, that's another way that individual states are protecting their sovereignty of their state citizens and giving them their rights, right, to use gold and silver as real money. I mean, how cool would it be? Because Texas is probably the furthest along. Texas has the state depository. Texas has had proposals to have an asset-backed digital currency. The future could look really interesting, right, in terms of how we could see silver and gold being integrated, all right? Go watch CoinShop. Chris and I put out a great video this morning. If you want to learn about the value of silver over the decades, go to the channel, ronsbasement.com. Don't forget, check out www.ronsbasement.com. We have a chat room there. Please, when you register, try to use the same name that you use on YouTube so we know who each other are. That would just be easier for all of us. But that's their 24 hours a day. .com Don has been working very hard on that. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Right now, if you haven't already, that's very helpful. And I will beg one more time, guys. We are really fighting to get to 30,000 subs by the end of the year. We do all this because we love it and we love the community and we want to see the community continue to grow. Thank you to all the moderators. I want you to have a good rest of your Saturday night. You deserve it. It's a stressful time of year. Oh, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Susie and I and the girls are going to head over to the local Moolah Shrine. I don't know if you live in a city with these Moolah guys. They drive go-karts. I love go-karts. I've always loved go-karts and mini bikes. I got a little ATV right next to me over here, a little Honda ATC 70. For those of you who knows what that is, very collectible. Anyway, back to the Moolah Shrine. They have the Festival of Trees, where you go in and you buy, like, for $1 each, you buy all these tickets, and they have like 40 Christmas trees set up. And underneath each tree, there's like a bucket where you put your ticket, if you want to put your ticket in the bucket for that tree. But like each tree has different stuff under it, like a gaming system under one tree, or a 1 week vacation under another tree. So that's where we're going to go. I'm trying to get into the holiday season. I've always struggled around the holidays. I'm just being honest. If you're a person who struggles around the holidays, you're not alone. And if you're a person who loves the holidays and just thinks it's all great and fun, well, then you can look at me and say, gosh, I'm glad I'm not like Ron. Hey, on a serious note, have a great night. It's a big deal that you're part of this channel. I appreciate you. All right. And I'll see you soon.